Sometimes you have to take a deep breath and really reflect on what's working in your life and what's not working. Maybe make a list of the things that are producing fruit and the things that are wasting time, because being busy and being productive are two different things. And chances are you'll probably see a lot of areas that are taking up time but are not producing or consuming, or not producing fruit, that are just consuming your energy and consuming your time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, usually we're overwhelmed because we're trying to do too much. We're trying to accomplish too much in a short period of time. We're not giving ourselves enough time to do it all. So we're like, well, let me cram all of this stuff in without letting things go. So use this as a season to really take inventory on what are all the areas in your life that are consuming your time, consuming your energy, draining you without producing. There's things that take a lot of time and energy. It takes energy to work out and recover from working out, but that's producing good health. So that activity in itself is something to lean into and to cultivate. But if something is consuming you, such as spending a lot of time on the phone with somebody and talking, about issues that you can't change, that could be draining your energy, and it's not producing any results or any fruit, because it takes both parties, the person who's sharing the positive information, to change, and then the person has to be receiving it and actually doing something with it. We can get so obese mentally and spiritually from just consuming information, reading, even spiritually obese. If we're not getting that out, the goal is you learn something and then you share it. You learn it and then you share it. Now, there are people that want what you have. They want to know, that you can really help in these times. I call it low-hanging fruit. These are people who are they just need that extra nudge, that person to walk alongside them who's rooting for them. They just need that. But there are also a lot of people who just want to waste time complaining and then don't want to do anything to change their life. And those are the energy suckers. Those are the time wasters. And those are the ones that are going to leave you feeling depleted and deflated and discouraged. So you have to decipher, is your time being used properly? Is the time on this earth that God gave you in this season in your life, whatever age you're in, whatever season you're in with kids or without kids, or whatever season, are you maximizing that time? Or are you just doing the same thing over and over and living the same year over and over? Does this year look like last year and the year before and the year before and the year before? Are you just coasting through? Are you like, well, it's summer, so now this is the time that I drink and party all season long? Are you being intentional with your time, with your skills, with your gifts? And are you really, really focused on living a healthy, vibrant, productive life? Summer is such a great time to simplify, to really get into a season of vitality in producing. It's such a vibrant season of life. This is why I create an environment in my home that's simple and fresh. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing housework, during this time. Actually, because it gets so hot here in Arizona in the summer, I do spend a lot of time midsummer, like July, August, when there's not monsoon. It's really hot, so I find activities inside that we can do, because we're not going to be out in the middle of the day when it's 120 degrees for more than 30 minutes. But what I'm saying is, like, this season could be used. I mean, the 90 days in summer, you could really change your whole course of your life. I mean, you could become a whole new person. You could be everything that you desire to be. You can do in like 90 days. It doesn't take years and years and years. All it takes is that that desire, and then the discipline and the consistency. It's really those three things, because you're not going to feel motivated all the time, but the desire will motivate you to do the work. And the consistency, that's you're showing up regardless. Discipline is you're giving yourself a demand and then you're following through with it. You're doing what you told yourself to do. And when you're doing that, you're going to battle with the old self and then the new self. because the new self is saying, yes, you do this. And the old self is saying, just take the day off. Well, one day off turns into 2, turns into 3, turns into a week, turns into your old habits again. So this is why when you don't feel like it, is most important to do the work, to show up, to really lean into that new person. It just feels so crazy that we're almost halfway to Christmas already. I feel like I just, everyone's like, I just put my Christmas stuff away. I don't know what it is, but things are moving rather quickly, so it seems. And you're trying to like grasp and get a hold of it and slow down a little bit. And I'm all about, I do prefer a faster paced life, but in a slow kind of way. And there's a difference between fast and hectic, chaotic and stressful, and you're full of anxiety and you're rushing everywhere and trying to get from here to there, and you got so many things. Your to-do list is like 2 pages long. That's stress, and that breeds a lot of health problems. There's a difference with a faster paced life that says, I'm going to maximize every season, every moment. I'm going to maximize this season in my life. I'm going to be really intentional about it. Because when you do that, you end up accomplishing so much more in such a shorter period of time. What used to take me 6 months now takes me a month to do, because I've cut all the distraction and I've cut all the fat and I've cut most of that isn't there anymore. So the temptation's not there. And then I just focus on what I have to do for that season. So spring, if you're still in kind of your spring season, I'm out of my spring reset now. I like to use March and April, February, March and April to really do like a reset. This is where I'm decluttering. This is where I'm allowing new things to grow. Like, you're preparing some new habits. You're getting mentally prepared. You're decluttering, purging, clearing your space, letting go of the old. Spring is such a great time to do that. So by the time summer starts, which it is here now, by the time summer starts, you're already like, okay, I've got all that stuff in order. I am ready to take off, and I'm going to sprint for the next 90 days. So I like to sprint during summer. Like, this is my next 90 days. I'm going full force, because after summer is when you can enter more of a gentle, nourishing kind of type reset. So this is where you're cultivating more of a gentle season, more of a, cozy or homebody season or whatever. You're slowing down, you're pulling back just a little bit before you enter into the holidays. So it's a really healthy rhythm, because you're going fast, but you're going slow at the same time. And you're super intentional about it, and you've simplified your life so you're not engaging in activities that aren't producing fruit. Write a list of those. If there's things that you are doing and you're like, man, this is just a time waster, you'd be surprised how much time is going nowhere, is just being wasted. Spending time complaining, spending time gossiping, waste. Binge watching. Binge watching is addicting. I mean, I did that for years. It was so addicting. Entertaining, yeah, but what did it really do? So being intentional about even that, so you don't get sucked in, because it's so easy to get sucked into things that aren't producing. Scrolling, on TikTok or whatever, man, you can 2 hours can go by and you just watched everybody else's life while yours passed by. So think about the things during the season that you're really trying to simplify, and let those things go. Comparing yourself, there's a difference with looking at somebody's life and saying, okay, I want to learn from that person because they have what I want. Maybe they have, whatever. So you're learning from them. What are they doing that I can do better? And let me learn from them. How are they living? How are they styling their home? What do they eat? That's when you're being inspired to make a difference in your own life. That's different, because you're using it kind of like as research in a way to make those changes. But don't spend so much time looking at other people's lives that you become, you have that FOMO, or you have that, steals your joy, and you realize, my life's not that good and I wish I had that. So there's a really thin line there of leaning into what somebody else has and focusing on what you can do in your own life. And I used to waste so much time going in and out of stores, checking out, let's just see what there is, let's just check it out. And home goods, I would say probably 80% of everything I bought in home goods, Marshalls or TJ Maxx and Target, I returned. I don't know why, but I would buy it I guess I would get excited about all the great stuff, and then I would return it. So I would spend double the time because I got to drive back, stand in line, and return the stuff that I bought. So I don't even go anymore. It doesn't make any sense for me to go. And really, you're not missing out on anything. You are not. Like, that's the big thing. You're not missing out if you don't get that sale. If you don't go to the at-home store and buy a plastic planter and then go to Michael's and get spray paint to spray paint that planter and then put a box on the bottom of it to put some fake bushes in it to make it look like a bush to save money. You're just wasting time by doing all of that stuff. Now, if that's your thing and you love it and you get a lot of joy from that and it brings out your creative side, creative and crafty, and that's therapeutic, oh great, that's different. But the constant push for always needing to do this and do that could and is potentially taking up a lot more time than you actually think. And you have to ask yourself, what could I do with this time? Could I be doing something of more value? Could I be doing something better with these years in my life? None of us know how much time we have. None of us do. And the last thing you want to do is look back and say, oh, in the years where I actually could do these things, I didn't, because I was focused on meaningless stuff. And when I went through a lot of these changes, I didn't have a lot of friends during it because I had to kind of cut some of my old friends. And it might have looked weird, like, oh, well, you don't have a community, and there's always in the Christian community, people have like tribes and they have, groups of people. I never was. I was like alone. I was a loner. I still kind of am. I walked alone. And so a lot of people will be like, well, you need to have community around you. Well, it just wasn't my thing. And sometimes God places us in different areas to where your community is your family and your spouse, and it's you and him, and you walk with him. So I never had that desire to be a part of a huge group or a huge community of people. Now, do I think it's helpful? Yeah, if you have some friends and you lift each other up. But it was just never my thing. So it was easy for me to go through this because I could see really clear that the people who weren't going with me, and I just let them do their thing, and I just moved on. And also, I knew that God would bring the right people, and it was usually one at a time. And it wasn't the people you would expect. It would be somebody totally random. So I've built some deep, meaningful relationships recently, one at a time, not in big groups. So for me, I prefer that. I like to lean into that one-on-one and not group, feeling like I have to have a connection with this really big group, and I owe a lot of people my time or explanation. Again, different seasons, but God has something different for each of us, and you just lean into it without apologizing. One thing that I'll always say, and I'll know that whatever major thing, wherever I go, I know that God did it. He helped me through it. He's the one who orchestrated it. Now, there's a difference because a lot of people will say, well, I did this. And the whole world is filled with people that say, I did this. Look at me. Look what I did. Look what I built. Look how great I am. And they take all the glory for themselves. And then they become so self-obsessed that this is something that I did. Now, there's things that we have to do. Obviously, if you spent the time getting in shape, you did that. God didn't get you in shape. He gave you the power to do it and the ability to do it. So those are things that, yeah, you spent the time getting in shape. But what I'm talking about is life itself. Most people will say, look at this business I built. Look at what I have. And that can be removed so quickly. God can take that away so quickly if you are too prideful in your own self. So, you're walking alongside with him, you're partners with him, but he gets the glory. So everything that I've done in my life in the positioning is God has positioned me. He has moved me. He has given me the thoughts and the ideas. He gets the glory for all of that. But I'm willing to do the work. You can't just sit there and be like, God, I want to live a life of freedom, but I'm not willing to do the work. He's looking for workers. Who's willing to step out? Who's willing to get out of the boat? Who's willing to move into their future and take the land that he has? Which one of you is willing to do that? Because when you can do it in your own strength, and you know I did this, you're like, well, you know, you're doing it in your own strength. That doesn't take faith at all. It doesn't take faith. God wants your heart, and it takes faith to please him. So he could remove all of those things in your life so that you have the faith, and you build the faith, and you build the character to really rely on him and say, hey, stop taking all of this for yourself. Anyways, I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's a message in itself for somebody to get out of the way and let God do what he's got to do in your life, and let him rebuild, and let him rebuild you, grow your character, grow your faith, stretch you, allow you to persevere. Like, sometimes that's what God's trying to develop, those things in us: perseverance, faith, grow our character, grow our trust, grow our patience. He puts you in situations to do all of that. So stepping out of the boat is a key thing, and really being tuned into what God has for you and the race that he has for you to run is key. And in order to do that, you have to remove the distraction, because if you're plugged into too many channels and you're hearing too many things, it's very hard to hear his voice. And that's why you're confused and you don't know, well, what does God have for me? What does he want for me? What am I supposed to do? You know, you're confused, overwhelmed, chaotic, full of anxiety, and those things develop in the body. It's all wrapped together. The point I'm making with a lot of these walks is that the spiritual, mental, physical, it's all wrapped together. Your space, how you live, the choices you make, it's all linked together, and it all feeds off of each other. So getting one thing in order, doing what you can do, simplifying, decluttering your life, purging your life, this allows God to really do the work that he has to do, because you're saying, okay, God, I'm going to cut these roots, these things that are no longer producing in my life. I'm willing to let them go. I'm willing to cut them. I'm willing to move on from these areas of my past, so he can come in and do what he has to do in your life. If you're still going around the same mountain, you're still doing the same things over and over, and you're still doing it your way, you're basically shoving him to the side and saying, well, I'm going to do it my way regardless. I don't care who it affects. I don't care what it does. I'm going to keep doing it. He wants you to be dependent on him, not independent from him. There's such a huge difference. The goal in life is not to do everything on your own all the time. The goal in life is to walk with him daily, day in and day out. It's a daily walk. As you're going through life, as you're getting through your to-do list, as you're striving to be a good mom, a good wife, a good parent, you're walking with him daily. You're doing what you can do. You're letting him do what you can't do. And you're removing the things that you know are not producing good fruit. Get them out. Cut them from the root. Turn from those things. We all have those sins. Turn from them. Move from them, and allow him to birth something new in you, so you can do what you were called to do.